So good evening and welcome everyone, especially Dharma friends from from Indonesia and Hong Kong. And today's, as usually I don't really know what I'm going to talk, but actually it just remind me of just a few days ago, and someone was told that you're having bad karma because you have an autistic son. And my sister have an autistic son too. But my sister never thought that she's having bad karma. Actually, she learned a lot from that. Because of her child, she becomes more compassionate and kinder person. And she learned a lot. And because of that is the practice. This is how we label someone, isn't it? You know, what is good and what is bad. And sometimes we think that we know, we don't. And especially that sometimes that it's come from individual perception is just different. I'm sure that, when we look at same thing, that we look at the same thing, I can tell you 10 people have different reaction to the same thing they've seen, isn't it? You have different reactions to things because each one of us, we have our perception, we have different perceptions because we come from different conditioning, different background. So our perception is come from our conditioning. So because of that, we reinforce that. So the perception, then because of the perception, we develops into a certain views, how we view certain things, then we believe that is the truth. And it's okay that we have views. We have different views and opinions. The problem is sometimes we try to impose that on others. And then we think that what is best for others. And we think that we know. We hold on to our views and we think that we know what is best for others. But actually we don't, isn't it? And we try to impose on the others. We think that this is good for you. And we try to impose on our views and opinions, our views that, this is right. But because of our views is also very much, how we develop our views is come from our perception. The fact that we have this body. So we have our senses. We have our eyes base, our ear base. So when there is a contact, when we see something, there's an object, then feeling arises. When feeling arises, there's 3 kinds of feelings. Pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, and neither pleasant or unpleasant. So, because we are not mindful enough to aware of that, because we don't see, each one of us, we have the underlying tendency. What are the underlying tendency of these pleasant feelings? So, pleasant, the craving, the greed underlines our pleasant feelings. So when we feel, when something is pleasant, the greed arises. So greed is the one the greed underlies our pleasant feelings. And sometimes we because of the pleasant feelings, the greed comes, the lust comes. We think that we got to have it that moment, isn't it? Our mind get caught. Because we are not mindful enough to be able to see that. We get caught by that. And the mind, because of that, because of the pleasant feelings, greed arises. Unpleasant feelings, anger. So anger underlies our unpleasant feelings. So we think about it, and then the more we think about it, the more upset. So we are feeding our emotion, the negative emotion. So, and this neither pleasant or unpleasant feelings, that ignorance ignorance underlies this neither pleasant or unpleasant. So usually when it is neither pleasant or unpleasant, it's neutral feelings, usually what we feel, we have boredom, isn't it? Because that don't excite us. That's why sometimes when it's boredom, we try to look for excitement. And this is how the perceptions, because we have this body, the body, and then we have our senses, we have contact, and we have feelings arises, then we have perception. Feelings come to perceptions. So the perception, how we perceive things. What we perceive, we are actually not perceiving things purely, because already perverted by our likes and dislikes, our pleasant and unpleasant feelings. Because unpleasant feelings, we don't like it. So we start to label, identify, this is good or bad. So the perceptions, then we think about that. That is our mental formations. We think about all this, for example, if someone be nasty to us, say something bad to us, so our mind started to think about how bad this person is, isn't it? But this person might not be the aspect that is we thought. Because sometimes maybe the person gone through some difficulties in life, then maybe that time they're in a bit bad mood, But this is how we started to label them. We think that this is bad, this person is completely, Then we start to label them. But we are not really perceiving things as they really are. So from this, with the thinking about it, then we develop these certain views of things, how we view things, how we view this person. And these certain views will go into our stream of consciousness. So the next time when we are in the same situation, the similar situation, or we see the person again, then we have the reaction. Because we have the view of, this person is bad. Because of our perception, our views is come from our previous experience. Based on our previous experience. This is how, so we are not really perceiving things as they really are. So our perception is according to our likes and dislikes. We perverted. So that's why sometimes we don't believe what we think, because our perception. So perception is, is very subjective. The perception is in the eye of the beholder. Some people like dogs and they think that dogs is wonderful. Some people, we have people, their phobia, when they see dogs, they run up into the bench and they really scream. And I asked this person, I said, have you ever been bitten by a dog? They said, no. But she said, I don't really know where is this coming from. Because sometimes some of this, as a Buddhist, we believe in previous life. Sometimes we don't even know where is this coming from. So each one of us, what is so-called good and what is good and bad, different of us have different perception, isn't it? It's just like myself, like even some of my relatives and some of my friends, they feel really sorry for me, the fact that I'm a nun. They think that, poor thing, she's a nun. You leave your family, but actually I'm happy, And people think that what is good for me. I remember my friends told me, one of her friends said to her, her name is Biling. Biling, you're such a beautiful person. But unfortunately that you are a Buddhist. Because you don't believe in God. I'm so worried that you're going to hell. But this person really meant it, Then we think that what is good for others, actually, we don't. And this is how, we keep reinforce our perception and we develop certain views. And then we believe our views to be true. But actually our view being our view is distorted view. We are not really perceiving things purely. And the scary thing is that we try to impose on others. And sometimes we try to change others, try to change them, to accept our views, we are all different. Even we grow in the same family. I have altogether my family, so I have 7 brothers and sisters. I can tell you, each one of us is different. We are completely different. All of us here, we are different, isn't it? But it's okay that we are different. Even each one of us is unique. Because sometimes we try to impose on others, we try to make everybody the same. And we incur lots of suffering, not only to ourselves and to others. And it's okay. If we try to make others people the same as we do, the other person have the same views as we do. So actually we are not being kind. We try to impose on others, actually it's not kind. Loving kindness, the true loving kindness means we accept, we love others as they are. We don't try to change them. It's okay. This is how, the conflicts come. Argument come. Because we don't aware of that. Because lack of mindfulness again. So I think I need to give some, sometimes we have advertisement, we have a break, Now we have some advertisement for the 9th Global Conference on Buddhism. So resolving conflicts with mindfulness. So you want to know more about mindfulness, please, those who don't have tickets, so please get tickets. And you can check on the website, okay? So this is the advertisement break. Okay, we come back. So, and this is how, and it's okay. We are different. It's just like, and we live in this society. So, and we accept others as they are. Because sometimes when we attach to our own views and opinions, and actually it's wrong views. Even we are doing something good, even with best intention. So it's just like an orchestra, We can't say that this is better than that, isn't it? This instrument is better than that instrument, isn't it? We can't say drum is better than the guitar better, But when this come together, like all of us come together, each one of us is so unique. And we can play, we can live harmoniously together. It's just like that. Just like an orchestra, we can play a beautiful music. So they say it's important. We understand that. We don't believe, we don't hold on to our views and opinions. And that's because of these views and opinions, it leads to so much conflicts and fight and even war. So that's why to develop right views, to have right views, because when right views doesn't mean that we are right and we are wrong. No, right in the context that leads us to freedom, leads us to happiness. Even sometimes we're doing something good, someone criticizes us, we know that this is the right thing to do, it's fine. If we got upset, that means we are holding on to our views, isn't it? So then this becomes wrong views because it leads us to suffering. It's not good or bad. Because this is how we start to label this is good, this is bad. And we have to learn, we have to practice and develop these right views, right understanding to be able to see beyond good or bad. It's not good or bad. It's just that whatever we do that leads us to suffering, the views that we hold on to, then it's wrong view and lead us to more suffering. And in fact, I just remind me some years ago, there was a case that there's someone that so there's I've forgotten this many years ago. This happened in England. There's a group of these people that they have so much compassion towards the animals, and they try, and then because of they're so attached. Being compassionate is okay, but attachment to being good, to being compassionate is a problem, because they have this self-righteousness. The problem is sometimes we have the self-righteousness. We think that the person is wrong. We try to, we said that, we should tell them and we should punish them because they are wrong. And this group of people put a bomb under the car of these doctors and her daughter, the doctors and the daughter, and they blow two of them. There's so much hatred. There's so much compassion to animals, but so much hatred towards human beings. This is very scary sometimes when we got stuck, if we are not aware, and because the thinking, we're thinking about it, we got sucked in. Sometimes, just only a fraction of a second. And sometimes we think that we don't do such a things. The underlying tendency is there. The lust is still there, greed is still there, the hatred is still there. So when given the conditions, we do something, And I remember that I read an article that there was a famous lawyer. So he is specialized in the criminal's case. So he's always the defendant's lawyers. So he defends the criminals. So he used to be criticized that he's being such a horrible person because he defends the criminals. So, but he said, actually, most of his cases, he said 80% of his cases, that most people, when they have commit that act, that moment they just lost their mind. They're just insane. But most of them are, they're good people. So the reason why he said that I try to help them, because someone, if this person have killed someone, the person already did. We can't do anything about it. But at least we give this person the opportunities, isn't it? Yes, this person has done something wrong. Some things he has committed a crime. But because of that, we all sometimes when we overcome by anger, that moment we just lost it. But at least he said, this person's still alive, but at least this person, that we give this person the opportunities. So because the person already died, we can't do anything about it. But at least he tried to help to exercise forgiveness. Sometimes we think that we forgive others and the other person who benefit, actually is not. So when we forgive someone, we are not only giving the opportunities to others, we are also giving ourselves the opportunities to practice forgiveness. So actually, in this in Buddhism and the Buddhist teaching, we have many skillful means to help us. One aspect of the mindfulness is to remember. We be able to remember. So some of the contemplations is very useful. Contemplation is different from thinking. Thinking, that is, thinking will reinforce our emotion. Contemplates will stop that thinking. So the Buddhists mentioned in some is in the suttas. So the Buddhists mentioned some of the contemplations, that if we contemplate that every day, and it's helped to develop mindfulness. And this contemplation also help us to become peaceful and calm. So there are 5 contemplations the Buddha's mentioned that we should contemplate every day. And we apply this in our daily life. We use this we integrate this into our life. We contemplate, we reflect on these 5 facts. He said, the Buddha said, whether you are a monastic or you are a lay person, the Buddha said you should contemplate and reflect on this every day, again and again. So what are these 5 contemplations the Buddha asks us to reflect? And this helps us to lead us to have a peaceful mind and a calm mind. So the first contemplation the Buddha said we should reflect on, we are subject to aging. I have not gone beyond aging. This is the fact. Nowadays, and people try so hard, to go for plastic surgery so that they don't look old, or with Botox and all sorts of things, And no matter how hard you try, you're still going to grow old. Isn't it part of growing old? Not only the skin, the wrinkles comes out. It's not only with that. Our memory is gone. Talk about memories. There was a couple they're growing old, so the memory started to go. So both of them started to go for these classes, the course, how to improve the memories. So one of the tricks that they've been told, that they ask them to practice, to try to write a note, whatever you try to, so that you don't forget. And this is how one of the way to improve the memory. So each time you make notes, you write down. So one evening, this couple was watching. They was in the bed watching television, and suddenly the wife told her husband. He said, "Oh, I'm a bit hungry. I would like to have some ice cream. Can you make me some ice cream?" He said, "Yes, I can make you some ice cream. So I want ice cream with chocolate topping. So are you sure that you don't have to write it down?" So the husband said, No, I can remember. You want ice cream with chocolate topping. Yes. Oh, I think I want some cream and strawberry too. So please write down. So are you sure that? He said, No, I don't have to write down. I can remember. Are you sure? He said, No, I'm sure. You want ice cream with chocolate topping, some cream and strawberry. You see, I can remember. So the husband went down to the kitchen and went down to the kitchen for quite a long time. So the wife was thinking, what the heck of him doing down there for so long, haven't come up. So then after that, the husband came, and with a toast and bacon. And then the wife asked, where's my egg? This is how, isn't it? We grow old, we don't remember, the memories go. And this is part of life, But because of we don't see the fact, we always think that we spend so much time to try to look young and, beautifying, So we don't spend time to develop our inner beauty. Our inner, the inner beauty, the inner beauty is much more important. The inner beauty will bring with us. But, the look will go. I remember my friends told me that her grandmother, she said, my grandmother is really vain. She's almost 80 over, she's almost close to 90. But she's like to wear makeup and she like to wear high heel. And she said that, and then she go with her to the church. So she used to hold her hand. So she hold her hand. Immediately when she sees someone, she fling my friend's hand away. Then she walk like that. She's really fling. My friend said, she fling my hand and she walk like that. She just don't admit that, that it's okay. Actually, it's a loss of suffering, because just imagine it's very scary thing. If we don't look at it. We don't look at this. This is the truth. To come to face the fact of existence. This is that being exists. This having this body. So the more we try to run away from it, we still have to face it one day. So it's okay to grow old. We can grow old gracefully. It's fine. It's okay. But the inner beauty. So we spend so much time, to do things, to try to beautify our body, and then we don't, spend time to develop our inner quality. That inner quality will bring with us at the end of our life. This no one can take it from us. They stay with us. This inner beauty, the inner quality. Even if you believe in rebirth, and this you can take with you. Other thing you can take with you. So this is how we hit home. We remind ourselves. So it's okay, getting old. This is part of having this body. This is the reality. This is a fact of existence. And the second contemplation the Buddhas encourage us to again and again to reflect. That is, I'm subject to sickness. I have not gone beyond sickness. So we all will get sick, isn't it? So sometimes we do all the right thing. We still get sick. I remember we have one of our supporters that she's very concerned of her health, and she have all the health food and she do all the right thing. But she got cancer. And when she found out that she has cancer, she couldn't believe it. She said, I do all the right thing. Sometimes even you do the right thing, you still get sick. Because we have the body. This is the reality. So actually, the more we try to fight, the more actually that is not very good to our body, because of the whatever medication we take. We have this resentment. We will not go well with us because of we are not accepting. And we look at it, this is part of, doesn't mean that we don't look after our body. We still look after our body. But sometimes we have limitation. No matter how hard we try to look after our body, we still, we still get sick. So rather than me being said, why me? Why I have this illness? And that's why I used to tell people that are having terminal illness, I said, actually, you look at it in a positive way. That at least, now you be able to look at your illness, and you be able to have rehearsal to deal with all your fears, that all the fears coming up, that that you be able to do that. But I said, if certain death you can't do it, That I said that that's why when we look at it, when we reflect this again and again, because we are very forgetful. When we are sick, we say, yes, the Buddha's teaching is really true, Then when we recover, everything we forget. We don't remember, isn't it? Again, we go back to square one. This is how 3 steps forwards and 3 steps backwards, That's why it's important, the Buddha said, we reflect on this again and again and again to remind ourselves. This is one aspect of mindfulness. Reflection and contemplation help us to develop mindfulness. We be mindful. So to remind ourselves to look at the fact, the reality of life. Sometimes whether you like it or not, that is the reality of life. Rather than be running away from things, we look at it, we face it with the positive attitude. It depends on how you look at things, There is always 2 ways of looking at things. So whether you look at half glass of water, whether you look at it, whether it's in a positive way, that is, you have half glass full, or you have half glass empty, but we still can't change the fact that it's still half glass of water. But we can always change our attitude, how we look at it. So we said, fine, this is part of having this body. We get sick, Sometimes when we accept our illness, actually, even though our body is sick, but at least our mind is not sick. At least we have this positive attitude. So the third contemplation, the Buddhists encourage us to again and again to reflect on, to contemplate on, that is, he said that I'm subject to death. I have not gone beyond death, the Buddha said. So this again and again remind ourselves. Sometimes I remember when I was young, and whenever I think of, sometimes this comes up in my mind that, I say, how is it like if I die, if I grow old? And then I try to run away. I tell myself, I'm still young. I'm too young to die. So I just push it aside. Sometimes we think that those having terminal illness, they are dying. Actually, in fact, we all are dying. Isn't it? We all are going to die. We really don't know when we are going to die. That's for sure. Maybe next moment, next day, we don't know. Because sometimes we spend so much time of, worrying about things that might happen. And this is, we miss a lot, So we so worrying about things, that we can't get. We work so hard. We try to work so hard to get things that we think that is going to make us happy. Because we are going to die. So that's why sometimes it's good that we reflect on that to remind ourselves. I remember that when my father passed away, after 3 months, my brother passed away. And I remember that's really hits me really hard. And that's really helped me a lot in my practice. Then when I remember that time when I was in Thailand, and every mornings I wake up, I was really so appreciative that, wow, I'm still alive. So we become so more appreciative. We don't waste our time doing, insignificant, chasing after insignificant aims. So it's actually, this contemplation is not being pessimistic, so that we become more appreciative of our life. Because life is very precious. We don't take it for granted. So that's why I told people, that, now you're having terminal illness, at least you have chance to rehearse, I said by the time, by the end of your life, the moment you need to face, whether you're ready or not ready, or whether, that last moment come, you say, I'm not ready yet, I haven't write my will, I don't want my wealth go to my certain, the people that I don't like. You can't say wait for a moment, you have to go. So at least, we practice, we look at it, so we deal with that, we deal with the fear. When that moment comes, we be able to die peacefully. So we're going to die, that for sure. But how are we going to do? How we want to die? Do we want to die in fear, or do we want to die in, with peaceful mind, at peace? When we die, that moment that we have to face. So that's why sometimes we becomes more appreciative of what we got right now. And sometimes we worry about. Sometimes we spend unnecessary, spend all our times worrying about, things that might happen. I can guarantee you the things that you think of going to happen will not happen. The thing that you never thought that is going to happen is will happen. Isn't it? It's always, it's always like that. Some people think that, only if I get my dream car, I be happy and they work so hard. And actually the dream car, the dream car is the car that killed them, isn't it? And then they think that they work so hard. So, this is help us, to develop this so that we don't follow our because you know why? When feelings arises, that thoughts, we follow by thoughts. So when we thinking about it, then we reinforce that. So when we contemplate, actually it help us to stop the mind to go further. So this is the third one the Buddha's mentioned. The fourth one the Buddha asks us to again and again to contemplate, that is, all that is mine, beloved and pleasing, will become otherwise, will become separated from me. That is one day we have to say goodbye. No matter how much we love our loved one, there's come to a day that we need to face that. That is the reality, that is the fact of life, whether we like it or not. But it's not being pessimistic, because how many of us hurts our loved one the most, isn't it? Those who love us the most, actually they are the one we hurt them. Because we tend to take it for granted because they're always there for us. They always forgive. So we don't take it for granted. So that's why. So when you have the opportunities, please let your loved one, let them know how much you appreciate them, how much you love them. And to ask for forgiveness if you have the opportunities, so that you will not regret. And this again, it sounds like pessimistic, actually it's not. Actually this makes us become more aware of how precious life. We don't take it for granted. So how we appreciate our loved one. Because they be gone, Sometimes we think that they're always there for us. We don't know this, anytime. So we make the most of it while we got it. So we spend more times with our families, with our parents, and let them know how much you care that, let them know. It's very important, sometimes we take it for granted. We waste all our time doing unnecessary things. And we be chasing after those things that are really insignificant and worrying about things that are really insignificant. Life is really precious. We make the most of it while we got it. That's why when we reflect on this, it's really help us, bring us back to the earth. Because we very easily, we tend to fantasize, isn't it, into the future and worrying about things that might happen. And then we get lost in Siberia. We don't even know how we get there, And this is how. But doing all this contemplation help us to bring us back, not up in the air, bring us back to the earth. So we reflect again and again, the Buddha said. And the last one, the fifth one, the Buddha said, we are the owner of our karma. To our karma. We responsible, we abide and related and supported by our karma. Whatever karma, whatever deed that we shall do, for good or for ill, of that I will be the heir. So we have to responsible for our own action. So sometimes this is how people think that that they just don't want to take responsibility, that whatever we do, this is the Buddha's teaching of karma, cause and effect. So sometimes we blaming, we blame everybody. And when what we experience right now is not something come out of nowhere. It's not, if we want to change the results. So if we keep doing the same thing, repeating the same thing, and we expect to have a different result, is that going to work? Just by wishful thinking that, we change our results by continue doing what we've been doing? No. Because if we want to have a different results, we have to put in the causes. Things will not just happen out of nowhere. So we have to put in the causes, cause and effect. The most basic Buddhist teaching. Things happen according to causes and conditions. We are responsible for our own action, not only by wishful thinking. Like I know sometimes people like to go to temple, do all those ceremony, maybe got holy water, and then they change their whole life. It's not going to change your whole life by doing that. Because we have to put in the causes, we have to create the conditions. The cause and effect, the Buddha's teaching, the karma. So if we put in the good, you plant in the good seed, then we have a nice juicy fruits. So things are not just magically like somehow it turns up just to have wishful thinking, It's not going to happen just by, or doing some ritual, It's not. We are the one who have to bear the consequence whatever we do, So, and then this is the last joke I'm going to share with you. Okay. There was a family, a son, and the husband and wife, 3 of them. They've been living in a very remote area. They've never been to the city, and the first time they went to the city and they went to the shopping mall. So they start to walk. So from first floor, and then walk to the second floor and the third floor. And certainly the husband was something attract his attention. That is the lift, because he saw there is a door open. There is a door on the wall, open and close and open and close. And there was an old lady, on the wheelchair, going into the lift. Then after that, this old lady in the wheelchair went to the lift and she pressed the button and go to the ground floor. And then when this lift opened and she went out, and there was a very beautiful, sexy lady, brown hair, very beautiful, went into the lift, it's got into the lift. And then it's gone to first, second, third floor and stop. And then open when the lift opened, and then this husband, this man, saw this gorgeous lady, and he turned around and told the son, "Go and get your mom, quick, get your mom." Sometimes we think that we have magic doll, somehow can transform the wife to become a gorgeous, beautiful woman. No, And sometimes we are the one. We have to bear the consequences that what we do, We have to, because when we remind ourselves, so whatever we do, we contemplate, we stop and think whether this is a good thing to do, whether it's, because if not, we just without thinking, we just said whatever things that we like to say, without thinking that, that without having the consideration that whether this hurts others people, whatever we do, because what we do have an impact on others, and this helps us, because sometimes we regret later, isn't it? So that's why the Buddha said, if you be able to do this, you reflect. These contemplates on these 5 facts of life, these 5 contemplation again and again. It will lead you to peace and calm. Your mind become peaceful and calm. So I offer this for a Dhamma reflection. May this teaching be of benefit to all of you. So, any questions or comments? Yes.
At the beginning, you mentioned that it was somebody who asked you how to deal with artist's son, an artist's son. So a son who likes to the artist.
Can't get you. Can you repeat again?
Yeah. At the beginning, you started your speech saying that somebody asked you that she is facing a karma because she has a son who likes arts.
Oh, yes.
Autistic. Okay.
Autistic. Because someone told this person that because you have an autistic child, because of your bad karma, then you have an autistic son.
Okay. Then you move to say that we have to respect somebody else's decision life. Yep.
Yeah, then I said that it's just, it's just how we label others, how we think that person having bad karma. But sometimes what we think is bad for others, the person might not think that is bad.
Yeah. So my question is, how do you deal when somebody very close to you, can be your son, your relative, your mom, or a very good friend, how do you deal when that person is taking the wrong decision that is against his physical condition, he's damaging himself and affecting the family?
Oh, so your question is that what happened to our relatives or friends if they're doing something?
The question is, how do you deal? How you can manage, because that person is taking a decision who is affecting him physically and mentally. So he's doing wrong things. So in that case, it's like, for example, alcoholism, drugs. How do you face that? You know that is a wrong decision. So you cannot say, move, I will respect his life, his decision.
Okay. I get you. So your question is how to deal with someone you know that someone behavior that is wrong, like harming themselves. So how to deal with
himself and the family.
Okay. That's why sometimes that this is how we have to know that we have our limitation. We can only do our best. That's why this is how sometimes we have to let it go. Even sometimes with our loved ones, we know that they're doing stupid things and we try to stop them and they don't listen. It's happened. And we can only do our best. But we still love them as they are. Do you get what I mean? Because sometimes that it's difficult, we can't change the other person. Sometimes we have our limitation. We can only do our best to try to support that person, to try to help the person, direct the person to the, on the right path. But no matter how hard we try sometimes, that we have our limitation, sometimes we can't change others. Depends on the person. Because, for example, just give you an example. Like, I used to have someone to bring the children, that to me, like the teenage daughters that they're having drugs problem. So they said, can you help my daughters, So I speak to this young lady. So I told her, I said, I would love to help you. I would like to support you. But the first thing that you have to have the willingness to change. If you don't have the willingness to change, no matter how hard we try, it's not going to work. We all love you. We want to support you. We want to help you. But the person has to have the willingness to change. We can only do our best. You get what I mean? Is the answer your questions? Okay, this is how it's just beyond control. I mean, sometimes we have limitation. I know it's just like when my mother dying, I feel so like I just can't do anything. Like I can't help her. you know, and she's so sick. And this is part of life. But we accepted that, you know, at least we have only one arrow. We don't add on another arrow. The Buddhists talk about 2 arrows. The first arrow is the suffering that we cannot avoid. The Buddha said, if someone is wise, so when they've been struck by an arrow, to them it's just pain, and that's it. But the Buddha said it's a foolish person if they're struck by an arrow, they pick up another one, they poke themselves a few more times. This is what we do. We're thinking about it, we got upset, we got angry, you know, and then we blaming ourselves, we blaming others. That is the second arrow. That is the suffering we add on. So yes, we feel painful, especially our loved ones, you know, that we try to help them, you know, that they're into drugs, into all this, you know, but we still accept as they are, and we know that we just can't do much about it, because if the person have no willingness, we can't do. But at least when we accepted that person as they are, then at least we don't have the second arrow. It's still painful, but at least we lessen our suffering. So does it make sense to you? Okay. 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 Have a safe trip back to not yet. Back to Jhana Group. Okay. Any more questions or comments? Yes. It's over there. I think that's one. Okay.
Just following on from that lady's question that she just asked, in regards to what you were talking about when you have a loved one, I have a son with a mental illness and schizophrenia, which is quite prevalent in society at the moment. And I actually had to get a restraining order against him because he kept coming and smashing up our house and actually was bashing up his sister, my daughter. What's the karma in that relationship? How does all that work in relation to karma?
Because actually karma is a very, very complex thing. You know, it's not like so simple like we just said that, oh, you do this, you get that. Actually, it's very complicated. You know, like everything happened according to many causes and conditions. It's just, for example, I just give you the analogy, you know, for example, like we plant a seed. You still have to depend on the soil, whether there's a water and the right climates, you know. There is many, many other factors that come together. So, and especially I'm not in the position to be able to really say to you that what's the karma and this and that. There's only a speculation, might be this and might be that. So all we need to do is that what we have done in the past is just like the Buddha said, the karma, that is what we are now is because of the previous action, you know. It's just like the previous action that we have done is just like we inherited, what we experience now is just like we inherited a piece of land. Okay? So this piece of land that sometimes so-called bad karma, that maybe we so-called bad karma, this is just like a piece of land that is not fertile. But we can always do something about it in this life. We can put in fertilizer, we can plant good seed, we can water it, we can nurture it. So what we have done, we can't do anything about it. But we can always do something about it right now. You know, just do your best. So accept the way he is. The most important thing is your side. Like, you know, it's okay that, you know, it's just accept the way he is. I know it's very difficult. It's a painful thing. It's very, very painful. So because the more we fight, actually, we suffer more. Because the more we push, when we push things, how it bounce back? The harder we push, the forces of bouncing back is greater. So when we accept that, yes, this is the way, you still love him. You still love him as he is. That is the real loving kindness. It's not only that you be my good boy, then only I love you. No, you still can love him. So does it make sense to you? Answer the question?
Yeah, it does. And also in relation to the land and whether it was fertile or barren, there's a big dynamic in relation to that. And this was a few years ago, and what's happened is recently he's come back home, and I've been doing lots of meditation and going to different temples, and we're really healing, and I can say that the healing is coming from being so loving, compassionate and kind. Yeah. So
that's why sometimes a lot of people don't really see the benefit, because it's important than how, because he can feel. Because like, for example, someone is very peaceful and calm. We love to be with that person. We feel the energy, we feel the peace, and we feel the calm. But if someone very nasty, very angry person, we feel very unpleasant. Very unpleasant. That's like, it's important that you know sometimes that it's most important is not what you say. Actually, you teach by example. That's why as a parent, we don't demand respect. We earn our respect by teaching example, by how we live our life and how we respect others. So we have to come from us. So we can only earn respect, but not to demand respect. So it's important how we live our life. So it's sadhu, sadhu, very good. So I think, John?
Just nothing to do with the talk. Is there a Sutta class on Sunday?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any more questions or comments? Okay. No more. Okay. Good night.